right, welcome, guys. This is Breakfast with the Brand, the number one podcast in the world for entrepreneurs and leaders who want to go from bland to industry leading brand. If you're tuned in live, go ahead, put your flames in the chat. Also, let us know where you're listening in from. I have with me, as usual, the king of branding himself, Mr. Sean Raiz. And today we're going to get into the art and the science of sales. So check this out. If you have any questions, go ahead, put them somewhere in the comments, and we will be sure to get right to them. I promise you. We're going to be talking about getting to your first set of sales. Actually, so if you're in business, right, which I know many of you are, or maybe you're not in business, maybe you're thinking about getting into business, we're going to be talking about how do you start getting those first set of sales officially as a business owner. What's up, Sean?
Oh man, listen. I'm excited. I'm excited. I love the topic of sales. The higher the price, the better. Right? We got Mac Billion on IG, I Townsend on IG, the Film Squares on IG. Come on, let's go. We got people from China on IG right now. Come on, Film Square, let's get it. Let's get it. We international. Come on, let's go.
Yeah, I see we have Charles Mack. Is Charles Mack also Mac Billion? Is that the same person?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
All right, shout out to Charles. And we have, as usual, Computer World Modernic, I think, if I pronounce the last one correct. So
Modern.
phenomenal, yeah, Modernic, yeah. So phenomenal day to you, brother. We're gonna get into a couple sales. But Sean, how's everything going with you?
I have no complaints at all. Beautiful morning, beautiful morning. Excited, up early, ready to go all the time. That's what it is. Like if your energy, so I was actually going back and forth with someone. I'm going to speak to them later. If you're not up early and at it, then you got a gap. Like you got a serious gap in your. So the morning is your primer. The morning is your primer for my salespeople. The morning is your primer. I can remember Bob Proctor saying he turned around an entire organization just by having people forward facing with a client at 9 o'clock in the morning. When I say he turned around the organization, he turned it around from maybe a couple $100,000 to multiple millions of dollars. So just think about it, guys. Just think about this. I get up around 3 o'clock a.m., right? So I set my alarm for 3 o'clock and I never hear my alarm because I'm always up before then. Just to give you the mindset, whatever time I set my alarm for, I'm always up before it, right? So I set my alarm for 3 o'clock. I don't even remember what my alarm sounds like because I'm always up before 3 o'clock. So I wake up, I work out, I do all of the things, I meditate, I do all of the work, I journal, I do all of the things that I'm supposed to do before 7 o'clock. I can remember when my children were young. I used to take them to the projects, right? Because I'm from that place, right? So I used to take my kids to the projects and put them in the jungle gym and have them doing pull-ups and push-ups and dips. We used to call it around the world. Just an idea of where I come from. This is before school. So before school, I would wake them up, they meditate first, get dressed, hit the park, run laps, pull-ups, push-ups, dips. 10 sets of 10. This is before any one of them was 10 years old. 10 sets of 10, right? And then we would be walking home for them to get ready for school. And as we were walking home, we would see people, wiping stuff out of their eyes and getting their bagels and coffee. And, I would just tell them this principle that I'm going to share with you right now. And if you do this, this will transform your results in sales. I said, what you want to do, young people, is have more done by the time people wake up than they're going to do for the entire day. That's been my motto since I was 13. You want to have more done by 7 o'clock, 8 o'clock in the morning than people who are just waking up are going to do for the entire day.
Nice.
And Bob Proctor said that he turned an organization around from a couple 100,000 to multiple millions of dollars only by having them forward facing with the client at 9 a.m. That was the first tip. The second one I'll give you when we get back from the break. Let's grow. It's very important that you know yourself to the highest degree possible, because it's through knowing ourselves that we're able to know other people. You are the most important person in the room, and the better that you know yourself, the better that you're able to communicate to others. So you're not only playing the game knowing who you are, but you're also playing the game knowing who everyone else is, so that you're not playing blind.
He's extremely engaging with people. He has a fantastic smile, and he's just very high energy person.
This is called leadership development. So we have to be independently knowledgeable and considerate to know who we are, so we can more effectively know who other people are. As the leader, it's your responsibility to allocate resources in the right places. If you don't know how to communicate effectively, you're losing the battle. I'm just a kid from Harlem who God chose to show his favor. Themselves while improving the lives of others. I said Sean Ra'is. I'm proud. Sean Ra'is. Leadership is not the brand they made for us.
Listen, he brought fire, heat. He didn't hold back.
20 years down the line, what I could sell, why not serve first? Service over salary. Branding like a leader closes the gap for people who want branding. Speaking like a leader closes the gap for people who are nervous about speaking. If Steve Jobs would have speculated, we wouldn't have Apple.
He changed lives. He helped people open up their business and start their business.
We are the brand. Some people say, Sean, should I quit my job? Mentally, yes.
As a speaker too, to be able to learn from him and watch him and you know, game respects game. And I want to have that much game someday.
The right client, pay $500,000 for what you do. You have to be bold in your beliefs.
He has been an amazing asset to this event and a pleasure to work with. Very captivating, collaborative, worked very well with the audience.
I want to help you. Put a 0 behind your number, right?
The session was great. How he is online, virtually, he is even more phenomenal in person.
Be the face of change that you want to see. Stop asking questions and start giving demands.
The entire team has just been absolutely incredible. They are a joy to work with. They go above and beyond.
Give yourself a round of applause. Yes, yes, yes. All right, guys. Listen, I got to shout out to LinkedIn right now. LinkedIn Voice is acting up. I don't know if we shut it down, but we're going to get you guys up and running real soon. So give me a break or two and we're going to get to it. All right. So Too Cool to Lose says phenomenal morning from IG. Mac Billion. We going back and forth with China. Ricardo Jackson in a good way. In a good way, right? So China's in good standing right now on IG. Let's go.
100%. All right, Sean, let's get right into it, right? So let's talk about it.
So let me get to the second part. Bob Proctor's turnaround. So let me get to the second part. So the second part of this, guys, in order for him to be able to turn around this organization and for you to be able to turn around your situation, the one thing that he did was offer the highest price. He offered the highest price. So he's working with an insurance company, and the insurance policy salesman never offered the $100,000 policy. And because they never offered the $100,000 policy, they never closed a $100,000 deal. But only from these two things, being forward facing with the client first thing in the morning, 9 o'clock, and offering the highest policy, they turn that organization from a six-figure company to in the hundreds of millions of dollars. Two things: forward facing with a client 9 a.m. and offering the highest policy. Let's get into it, Jimmy. I just wanted to open up with that. So I can give them a quick win, get on with the client, and first thing in the morning. Number two, offer the highest price. And usually you'll probably have to add a 0 to that highest price.
No, Sean, that's actually really good. That's actually perfect because just listening to it, somebody would think, well, that's pretty so it sounds almost like common sense, right? To
Yeah.
me, it does. Especially the part about offering the 100,000. I mean, if you never offer it, how are you supposed to sell it? If you never put it in the window, how are you supposed to sell it?
Nobody knows it exists.
Well, you know what I mean. Just
Yeah, you're right.
metaphorically, right? So, and when I look at sales, a lot of things are really common sense in sales, especially the first set of sales. For example, how are you going to get the first sale if you don't have something to sell? Little things like that. People don't have their products lined up. They don't know how much they're going to charge, for example, something like that. They don't know who the ideal client is. So a lot of the times we think that it's something complicated, but I promise you it's not. It's literally, who are you going to sell? What are you selling them? What is the price? What do they get? Like breaking it down in the simple terms. And that's actually where I want to start. What are some of the fundamental things that somebody needs when getting to those first sales?
Fundamental needs when getting to the first sale. Mindset, number one, you got to be positive. That's why I say get up early. You got to have the right energy in the room. In order to have the right energy in the room, you got to have energy in yourself. Right? So movement, exercise, movement, meditation, calmness, serenity, being detached from the sale, not being beholden to the sale, relaxation, pause, reflection, all of those things. A target. What is your target for the day? People say, I want to make $1 million, but they don't have daily targets. And if you don't have daily targets, then you're not going to get anywhere throughout the day, throughout the week, month, and years to come. You have to have targets. Absolutely imperative that you have targets or you're already there. And when I say targets, I mean targets for the day. What is your plan for the day? How do you break down the day? So I keep planners around me. I have structure. So every 15 minutes is accounted for in my life. In my day, every 15 minutes is accounted for. What about yours? Most people just say, well, I'm going to go to work and then around 12, I'll take a break. And then around 1, I'll come back. And then around 4 to 5, I'll start getting ready to leave. And then about 6, I'll get home. And then about 7, we'll sit down to eat. And that's the only structure. That's the only structure. If you're trying to if you're trying to see $1 million, if you're trying to see 6 figures in your business while you work, what do you do while you work? How do you make those things happen? How do you prepare yourself? How are you adorned? Right? So there's all of these videos about people doing online work in pajamas, right? Because nobody has to clock in anymore. So you're doing online work, but you're doing this online work in a t-shirt. Well, how good can you really feel and how high priced are you going to be when you're slouched over, comfortably laid back, and this is how you are at 3 o'clock in the morning or 3 o'clock in the afternoon? It makes absolutely no sense whatsoever. If you want to charge luxury prices, then you want to feel like luxury. When you look good, you feel good. When you feel good, you do better. So I hope you guys have been following all of that because I just gave you like 5 to 10 things that you can be doing just to begin with, not even in the context of the sale. I guarantee you it's 80-20, 20% mechanics, 80% psychology, physiology. How do you feel? What is the how did you prepare? The execution is super simple, guys. But the problem is this: people don't execute because they're not prepared. They're not ready to because they didn't do the pre-work. And that's why they don't have confidence, Junior. They don't have confidence because they don't feel like they're prepared. And they're right. They're not. And they know it. It's like going to a test. Okay, you've been in school for 7 months. And this is the last month, and this is the last time, you've been through the whole thing from September to, let's say, May now. So you're doing the last classes before June, and here come the tests, and you haven't paid attention for the entire year. So you're like, oh, I don't know. I don't feel good. I'm sick. I think I'm sick. That's what when you was a kid, that's what you would say. Oh, mommy, I feel bad. And you feel bad because you didn't prepare. You're ill-equipped, so you feel ill. When people look at their phone and I tell them to pick up their phone and make a sale, they feel ill-equipped because they know they didn't prepare. You cannot succeed by default, guys. You can't just buy the course. You have to buy the course and then study the course and go through the course and then practice the work.
100%. So I took two main things out of that, right? I took time management, number one, and also preparation. Let's dive a little bit more into that preparation and what that would look like. So Sean told us, number one, you have to look. Maybe you don't have to look. Maybe you don't have to wear a suit and tie, right? But whatever field you're in, you have to look like the uniform of that field. So maybe you're in sports. Maybe you're in something else. Maybe you're in aquatics. You have to look like you're going to work, right? You have to dress for the uniform of that space. So you have to be uniformed. You have to seem like you're into business, like you're ready to accept money, right, Sean? So
That's
there's
right.
willing and able. Are you ready? Are you ready to accept money? Are you ready to start accepting money? But from there, let's talk a little bit more. Let's go a little bit deeper into the product. So how important is the product? And how does one really formulate a product? Because what we do with branding is we help people to package their expertise into a service, into what we call a luxury service. So let's talk about that. How important is it to have a product? How does one develop a product? How does one take an idea and turn it into something that is sellable?
The beginning of product development or product origination is market research. You have to inform your process. The reason why people don't succeed in sales is largely they don't know what they're selling themselves. So they don't know how to describe the features and benefits in a way that is tantalizing. They don't know what the client's desired outcome is. So they don't know how to fine tune the features and benefits to the client's desire. They don't know what they're doing. They haven't approached this the right way. They're doing it backwards, right? They're just trying to get money. The big difference, guys, is a really big difference. So the first thing you have to do is be a professional. Be a professional. So that's why I say always you want to adorn yourself in the attire of a professional. I say change your attire to match your desire. If your desire is executive, if your desire is exclusive, if your desire is selective, if your desire is premier, if your desire is luxury, then you have to look like it. If you're looking to go from 6 figures to 7, then you got to look at 7 figures and say, okay, what is the language that they use and how do they dress over there? How do they feel over there? What time do they wake up over there? And then put all of those things into play. And then before you begin, so many people say, oh, I'm going to sell this because other people are selling it. It doesn't work that way. You need to find out what your plan of attack is going to be. Your plan of attack is going to be different than Sean Rais's plan of attack. Unless you're doing everything like I'm doing it. And then if you're trying to do everything that I'm doing, you're not me. So some of it won't work for you, right? So self-awareness is huge, but also awareness of the market. What are you trying to get? What are you trying to sell? Who are you selling it to? So this is what I always told people. And this is what I recently said when I spoke at the Porsche Experience in Atlanta, Georgia. I said, You want to ask two questions. And if you're paying attention, you really probably want to write this down, guys, because this was the difference between 6 and 7 figures for me. This was the difference between 6 and 7 figures for me. I went to the market and I asked the market, what was the market struggling with? I had an idea, and you guys probably have an idea of what they want, but you're not sure. And because you're not sure what you're doing. You don't have clarity. You don't have clarity. You have a hunch. You have an idea. So sometimes you make sales, sometimes you don't. Sometimes you hit the nail on the head, sometimes you don't. Sometimes you're speaking to an ideal client who wants what you have, but most of the time you're not, because you don't have 100% clarity. The way you get 100% clarity is just by asking. Just by asking. If I'm on a flight and the waitress brings me a bottle of water, and that's it, I might not feel like water. It's a sellable, it's a deliverable, but I might not be in the mood for water. I might want cranberry juice. And this is why they come and they ask you, what would you like? So you need to go to the market, and this is market research. What is the number one thing that you guys are struggling with right now? That's the first question. What is the number one thing that you're struggling with right now? And then number two, you can say, I'm creating a course, or I'm writing a book, or I'm beginning a coaching program. And I need to know what exactly needs to be inside of it for it to be of value to you. What would need to be inside of it for it to be of most value to you? And then once you have those two things, what they're struggling with and what must be inside of it, now you have the information to inform your process of product development. No, this is what happens. Nobody does it the other way. This is why they send you a form to fill out for research when you buy a BMW or you buy a Mercedes Benz. They want to know what's good about it, what's wrong with it, how could it get better, so they can inform their next model. We're not informed. We don't know what we're doing when we just say, I've got a course, or I do coaching, or I do consulting because I've got the education, but you don't have the real education. The real education is knowing the mind of the consumer or knowing the mind of the market. You fine tailor your product to the customer specifications. They'll give you exactly what you need to have inside of there.
100%. Just want to send a few shout outs. I see. All right. So Meg Bands. So he says, or she says, great business awareness.
Thank
You have
you.
Charles Mack back on LinkedIn. Yvette is tuning in. And then we have Sarah Mandif. I hope I said that right.
Yes,
She's
Virginia.
okay.
Hello.
Yeah.
Good morning.
Okay.
I'm
Great.
familiar.
Morning.
Yes.
Oh, you are. Okay.
Yes.
Excellent. All right. So Sean, so we got to the point of basically research, guys. So basically, like I said, it's pretty simple. You just want to know what people want. And I could never forget. There's this gentleman that said, business is very simple. It's all about giving people what they want, when they want, how they want, in the style that they want, at a reasonable price. That's it. It's so simple. And what I took away from what you said was you have to know what is the problem that you're solving. So I want everybody, in fact, if you're in business right now, go ahead, put it in the comments, whether you're on YouTube, Instagram, Facebook, LinkedIn. What is the problem that you solve?
Phenomenal question.
That you solve.
Phenomenal question.
If you don't know the problem that you solve, then you can't develop a product. And I think that's a big problem, Sean. Like, people are not doing things in the right sequence. So they say, okay, I'm a coach. Okay, what is the problem that you solve? I'm a coach and I want to coach these set of people in that space, and they're doing this, they're looking for that. Okay, but what is the problem that you solve? So they have coaching packages, they create packages without knowing the problem. You know, the package should come from the problem. So guys, put it in the chat. And if you don't know what problem is that you solve, just say, I don't know. That's fine too. That's why you're here.
It's better to be truthful and get guidance than thinking that you know and hustling.
100%. 100%. So, Sean, let's talk a little bit about how research reveals the problem.
All right. So we're talking about, thinking for the word correlation coefficient. So just pardon my education, right? Correlation coefficient. So a correlation coefficient is when you filter information. So let's say you ask 100 people that question. What is the number one problem that you're facing right now in your business? And what has to be present in order for this speech, course, coaching program, consulting program to be of value, this mastermind to be of value? You got two answers. Some people will always give you three, but you want to basically make it a 2-answer thing and not a yes or no. You want to leave it open so they can give you exactly what it is that they desire. So you've got 100 results. Out of those 100 results, you've got 200 because each answer should be 2. So you correlate those 2. Guys, let me just give a disclaimer. My process is scientific. My process is scientific. It's also evidence-based. The words I use come from a high level of education. The process that I use come from more than 10 years in higher level education and scientific research, evidence-based research dating back hundreds of years. So when I tell you something, it works. And when we came into the market, this is why it worked. And when we talk about quickest to digits, this is why it worked. And when we talk about high ticket and luxury sales, this is why it works, because of the process that we go through. So I'm giving you something right now worth $1 million. We call this the $1 billion breakfast with the brand. Take it seriously, because the $1 billion companies go through this process. They don't hustle. They don't guess. They don't do conjecture. They don't just follow their guts, right? They follow their mind in a detailed process. And this is it. So they've got 200 results. They take those 200 and they do what is called a comparative analysis and the process of elimination. So through the comparative analysis and the process of elimination, number one, let me just say this, your sample, the selection sample has to be accurate. So if you want to serve mothers, don't ask fathers. I know sometimes things seem certain or simple, but I have to say this, right? I have to say this for my people who are, a little bit loose. So if you want to serve a specific population, make sure you have the right kind of sample. If you want to make money, don't ask people on welfare. Don't go ask Auntie Ann. Like, seriously, you got to go to the market and target the people that you need to hear from, the people that you want to serve. So now that you've got your 6-figure earners, research before the research. The research before the research leads to good research. So, okay, you want to make $1 million. You want to charge $20,000 to $50,000. You can't do that with people who only make $30,000, $40,000, $50,000. You need to find people that make $90,000 to $150,000 to $250,000. So start your process around 6-figure earners. Okay, now you got a pool of, let's say, 1,000 of them, because everybody's not going to respond to your survey. So you get 1,000 of them, you send it out. You're lucky if you get 100. Out of those 100, you got 200 answers. You take those 200 answers and you do a comparative analysis and see what patterns emerge. See what patterns emerge. You put all of the answers together and you say, okay, this was only said by one person, eliminate. Okay, this was only said by 4 people, eliminate. Okay, this was only said by 3 people, eliminate. Oh, 35% of them said this. Let me hold on to that. Put that on the side. You say, 76%. 76% out of 100 said that this is the main problem. It's a confidence gap. Okay, we're going to put this on high, confidence gap. And you do it just like that as a process of elimination. And I would say tailor out the top 7. This is what I did. The top 7 that I got from people became the Branded Like a Leader course. So when we turned around and we gave the people exactly what they asked for, it was a no-brainer. We didn't get no's. We did not get no's. So our close rate was through the roof. As a matter of fact, our close rate was almost like 125%. We would say, well, Sean, how do you have a better close rate than 100%? Because people would close and then they would say, hold on, I know someone else who needs this. Matter of fact, I know 2 people who need this. Let me give you a referral. Is there some kind of referral program? Because I know 5 people who need this. Are you in this group? You need to come in this group because everybody in this group needs that. When you do this the right way, it will unlock untold riches. There's riches and niches and rockets and pockets. And when you do this the right way, man, you can stock it and lock it. I'm sorry. That's that little, it's early. I feel good. Let's go. I just gave you guys $1 million guaranteed for free.
Yes, sir. All right, guys. So we're due for a short break. When we come back, more on sales. Stay tuned.
Business is like a game of chess. It's not checkers. If you don't know how to lead with a personal brand, then you're losing the battle.
Everything about Sean's talk was fantastic. I mean, I got so much from it.
So he was really bringing fire and passion and his love and spirit to let everybody else know how do you become a leader amongst the leaders.
You hold the key in your hand. There is more power in this phone than there was that took the first man to the moon.
His energy, his dynamic information, gave a really great presentation.
I didn't ask for any money. I didn't have an offer. I had a heart to help people and meet them where they were at and find their need and fulfill it.
Sean is the bomb.
I don't talk theory. I don't talk hyperbole. I don't talk opinion. Nothing I talk is anything but evidence-based.
During the G-Circle retreat in Atlanta, I had the pleasure and the honor of listening to Mr. Sean Rais. He will not only impact your organization, but he will elevate your team to another level.
When you change you, when you put you into the equation, the whole system is different. I guarantee you, you got the right thing. You are the right person. If you can present yourself in the best way possible, there's no negotiation.
His energy is infectious, and I have so many takeaways from the presentation that I can't wait to get started and implement them today to see the result.
I said Sean Rais. I'm proud. I said Sean Rais. Leadership is not the brand they made for us.
Listen, he brought fire, heat. He didn't hold back.
20 years down the line, what I could sell, why not serve first? Service over salary. Branding like a leader closes the gap for people who want branding. Speaking like a leader closes the gap for people who are nervous about speaking. If Steve Jobs would have speculated, we wouldn't have Apple.
He changed lives. He helped people open up their business and start their business.
We are the brand. Some people say, Sean, should I quit my job? Mentally, yes.
As a speaker too, to be able to learn from him and watch him and you know, game respects game. And I want to have that much game someday.
The right client, pay $500,000 for what you do. You have to be bold in your beliefs.
He has been an amazing asset to this event and a pleasure to work with. Very captivating, collaborative, worked very well with the audience.
I want to help you. Put a 0 behind your number, right?
The session was great. How he is online, virtually, he is even more phenomenal in person.
Be the face of change that you want to see. Stop asking questions and start giving demands.
The entire team has just been absolutely incredible. They are a joy to work with. They go above and beyond.
Give yourself a round of applause. Yes, yes, yes. So I found out the culprit. Guys. The person responsible, the guilty party, and the reason why we're not on LinkedIn Voice, it's me. You're looking at him. My apologies to my people on LinkedIn Voice. Right now, you're looking at the LinkedIn Live.
because I scheduled it as a LinkedIn Live and did not set it as a LinkedIn voice meeting. So again, that's my apologies. That's on me. Monday, we will be on LinkedIn voice again with branding. Okay, so every single day, guys, we have a different topic. If you notice the patterns, Monday, we have a different topic. Wednesday, we have a different topic. Friday, Thursday, Tuesday, and so on and so forth. We have a different topic every single day. The reason that we're doing this, you can call it morning mentoring. Morning mentoring, $1 billion breakfast with the brand. Why? Because we want to help you. Everybody's not able to purchase a high ticket program. We are pretty luxury and our packages are sometimes very expensive, right? But that doesn't mean that we don't have love to give to the people. And that doesn't mean that we don't want to see you succeed. So this is given in the spirit of giving and in the spirit of helping you to earn enough money so that you realize, okay, no, if Sean can give this away for free and it's more valuable than what I just paid 10K for, more valuable than what I just paid 20K for, and I lost all my money. When I get my money back, I'm going to go work with Sean.
100%. All right, so we have a couple of comments that I want to read here. So
please.
Charles Mack says, I have an app for business prototyping, so you can see your failures on a screen and not with your product. That sounds interesting.
Yes, it does. Very good.
Virginie says, the problems that I solve is shifting negative emotions to positive emotions, so emotional shift.
Very good. Very good.
Yvette says, I help those who struggle to stay on track of their health and fitness journey, help them understand their unique genetics through weight management. Sorry, so long. Okay.
So we want to unpack that. So think of brevity. Think of smart brevity. I help X accomplish Y so they can do Z. Super simple. That's another $1 million hack, guys. Come on. Come on. I help X accomplish Y so they can Z.
Ricardo Jackson says, I'm sure that these principles apply to nonprofit healthcare work. Would you agree or disagree?
Completely 1000%. So what I'm going to give you is going to work across genre, across industry. They are industry non-specific strategies. Now, when it comes to strategies, the tactics that you employ are what is industry specific. So the strategy is across the board and the tactic is industry specific. So if you're writing, let's say you're doing copy based on the strategy I just gave you, the market research. If you're using that strategy, you can't use the same tactic. So nonprofit language in the headline is going to be different than for-profit language in the headline. And an email is going to be written differently than a newsletter, right? Or a personal email is going to be different than a marketing email, a mass marketing blast to get your research. So the tactics will change, but the strategies remain the same.
100%. So Charles Mack says, I need to find my customers.
No, your customers need to find you. That's wrong. So your customers need to find you. This is why we teach brand you and not what you do. When you brand you and not what you do, so you need to find a bigger target. Watch this. You need to find a bigger target. So this is why I ask everybody. I literally ask everybody the same thing in the very beginning. How much money do you want to make? Because sometimes we follow our heart instead of our heads. And when we follow our heart instead of our heads, it hits us in the wallet and it hits us in the bank account. And people try to have a LLC or a for-profit model with a nonprofit or a 501c3 intention. I'm going to unpack that for a moment. 501c3 and the nonprofit intention is I want to save the world. I want to help the poor people who I came from, right? So I came from a specific demographic. And you say to yourself, okay, well, I want to save the same people where I came from. But remember, you didn't have money for milk. Remember, you couldn't pay for eggs. Remember, you couldn't pay for bread. And then when you turn around and you try to sell the same people that can barely afford eggs or air conditioners, right? When you go back to that same population and you say, I got a program, guys, it's $5,000, and they look at you like you're weird, and now you're all emotional because nobody's buying from you, and you're broke, and you have to close your business, and you've been in business for 3 years and you ain't made $100,000, that's why. So you need to figure out your targets, not where you've been, where you're going. You got a retrogressive perspective. You all in your emotions. Where did I come from? Oh, I want to go back to the, you understand? You got to think about where you're trying to go. Because if you're driving a car, like a business, if you're driving a business, but you're looking in the rear view, you're bound to hit something in front of you. You got to keep your eyes focused on the road, on the plan, on the process, and the fact that you're in business. A business is like a car. Somebody was saying, why would you put a 16-year-old in a weapon of mass destruction? Talking about cars, right? So businesses can do massive good or massive damage to you and other people, right? So it's a huge, it can be as huge as you want it to be when you go it the right way. Well, the way you do this now is you say, okay, I want to make $10 million in 3 years. Okay, so I want to make $10 million in 3 years. That means I want to make 3.5 in a year. In a year. How do I make 3.5 in a year? I need to sell something that is very lucrative as far as profit. I need to sell something that I can sell for $40,000, $50,000, $65,000. Okay. Now you know your customer, Charles. You understand? Now you know who you're selling to. And then when you know who you're selling to, that's when you brand you. Tailor your branding to the market that you require or the market that you desire. Again, change your attire to match your desire. I'll give you a culinary example. I take my wife out to eat. We spend, I don't know, 150 to 4, 150 to 4, wherever we go sit down and eat, right? You gotta be very mindful. If you're a restaurant and you want that kind of clientele, you got to think about your brand and your appearance. If it's good, I'll find you. Let me say that. It doesn't. People say, what's the main thing in business? Location. Not so true right now, right? Because we don't live in brick and mortar. We live in click and order. So I'll take out my phone and say luxury restaurants because I love my wife. I want to impress my wife and I always want to take care of my wife, right? So I'll say luxury restaurant and they'll say luxury restaurant over here. So you're going to have a luxury restaurant. It doesn't make a difference where it's at. I'm coming if it's a luxury restaurant. If it looks good, if it's clean, if the people outside hold the door, if they take your car, if they valet, if I walk in there and it smells good and the staff is healthy and the staff is smiling, this is all brand. If there's a website that I can go and see, okay, what's on the menu? Okay, they don't have throwaway food. They don't have $5 cheesecake. Their stuff is expensive. Their drinks are extraordinary, not alcohol, non-alcoholic, right? If there's pictures, I can see the pictures. If there's no pictures and there's no website, I'm not coming. I'm not going to spend any gas or any time driving somewhere and taking my wife somewhere that might be a maybe. So you got to be very, very special and very specific and very intentional and very deliberate. This is called positioning. How are you positioned? Not the location. How is your aesthetic position? Because when you brand yourself the right way, when you brand you, not what you do, you become magnetic in the marketplace and will be drawn to you because you have what we're looking for. And we don't spare an expense. We just know what we want.
100%. Guys, we are due for another short break, but when we come back, we'll be talking more about sales. Stay tuned.
Let me just reiterate that real quick before we go. When you do this the right way, your clients find you.
It's very important that you know yourself to the highest degree possible because it's through knowing ourselves that we're able to know other people. You are the most important person in the room, and the better that you know yourself, the better that you're able to communicate to others. So you're not only playing the game knowing who you are, but you're also playing the game knowing who everyone else is, so that you're not playing blind.
He's extremely engaging with people. He has a fantastic smile, and he's just very high energy person.
This is called leadership development. So we have to be independently knowledgeable and considerate to know who we are, so we can more effectively know who other people are. As the leader, it's your responsibility to allocate resources in the right places. If you don't know how to communicate effectively, you're losing the battle. The reason why I did this and what I do is help leaders to become brands and brand themselves. You train people how to treat you by how you treat yourself. I teach authenticity marketing. If people can take advantage of you, they will in your personal or professional existence.
My biggest takeaway just from day one is you are the brand. I would recommend it to anybody that's really looking to build a personal brand.
Just the brand in general has changed my life. I've grown so much since I've been a part of this.
I see myself in what he does, and I believe in it just as much as I believe in myself.
All right, guys. So let me give a little bit of a backdrop, because I shifted the phone so that IG could actually watch and see the screen while I was figuring out the LinkedIn piece, right? So Too Cool to Lose says, "Hey Junior, good Friday."
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Townsend says, "Change your tire to match your desire." Kimberly Fallon says, "I make it sound so simple, but it's complex." She says, "I help nearly retired or retired employees gain clarity on their retirement mindset, goals, and intentions so they can live a fulfilling retirement," guys. So that's Kimberly Fallis on IG, if that's what you're in need of. That's a phenomenal service. She says, "I help nearly retired or retired employees gain clarity on their retirement mindset, goals, and intentions so they can live a fulfilling retirement." The Film Squares W says, "Thanks for the question. It made me think what problem I am really trying to solve. Might have to work more on it." You definitely do. That when you get that right, everything else becomes easy. LA says, this morning meeting is definitely what I need. Right? This morning meeting is definitely what I need. Too Cool to Lose says, "Thank you." And Mac Billion says, "That was dope advice. Let's go."
Yes, sir. I do wanna comment on that, on what Kimberly said, and shout out to everybody. Thank you for the love. You know, something that I've learned, Sean, just throughout the years, it is simple. It is simple, guys. I think we complicate stuff.
Ooh.
What I've learned, Sean.
You might want to underline that, guys. you might want to underline
break this down. Yo, this is something that I've learned, right? We complicate stuff. Like my results, more than doubled when I learn how to simplify things. Just with the way that I communicate as well. I make things sound very, very simple. Like I could take a long paragraph. Like Sean might say something, and he'll talk for like 2 minutes, and then I'll say it in one sentence. Literally one sentence. So I've learned that it's not as complicated as you think.
Nope.
Like, it's all about putting together simple little things. For example, who are you selling to? What do they actually want? How can you give them what they want? What price is it possible for them to pay? How can you deliver that? Like, these are not complicated questions at all. These are a series of simple questions that when done, when answered, it's like magic. It's literally like magic. It's literally like, what do people want and how can you give it to them? It's not complicated at all. There are some things that are a little more complicated, don't get me wrong. But the foundational stuff is very, very easy. And I think people come into business, thinking that it's complicated, and then they themselves complicate it. That's what I see.
The problem is, I think people have it backwards, the 80-20 piece, right? So they're concentrated all of their energy on mechanics and tactics, and they spend so much little time on strategy and clarity that they never get it right. They never get it right, and they waste a lot of money and a lot of time. So, guys, if you're so concerned with what CRM you're going to use, that's the wrong use of your time. Because if you could concentrate more on strategy, it'll give you the problem of needing a CRM. If you don't have more than 1,000 people in your database, you don't need a CRM. That's just one example. You know, we use a simplistic framework for what Junior just said, and it's called CSA: clarify, simplify, and amplify. So I may spend 3 minutes, 4 or 5 minutes elaborating on a concept to clarify something, and then Junior will simplify it, and then we can amplify it. So literally, it's taking something big, making it small, and then shouting it from the rooftops and putting it worldwide, like we're doing right now. Like, this is an example. This morning meeting is an example. This morning mentoring is an example of just what we're talking about. It took about 3 years to do the branded like a leader, coaching like a leader, consulting like a leader. We're not doing the consulting. So branding, closing, sales, speaking, and marketing. 5 courses. We have the ancillary. We have consulting for high-level individuals with a lot of education, experience, and expertise who want to speak to an organization as opposed to one-to-one or one-to-many outside of an organizational setting. If you want to take executive coaching to organizational consulting, we have a course for that can train you on how to do that. Super deep, super scientifically researched and evidence-based personality assessments and everything for HR. However, the 5 courses that we did, the 5 things that we went really, really deep into, the core foundational concepts of business success: branding, marketing, speaking, closing, brand. How can you complicate things if you don't know? Give me 1 second. I'll give it to you in a minute. So branding, speaking, coaching, marketing, in closing, we put those, we clarified them. It took a long time to clarify them. And then we simplified them and said, okay, now we can just have these calls where we just talk about this for an hour, and then we amplified it, boom, which is what you're seeing right now. And we can do it for free because we have mastered those concepts, those core concepts, which is why we're still here and why it's easy for us to be here and do what we do. We don't feel like there's a shortage. You know how people say, well, Junior, you know, if I give them all of this, then what am I going to have left? Why are they going to buy? You know, and there's a lot of people that could give you massive value, but they won't because they really can't. Because if they give you the little raindrop, that'll be the extent of their body of knowledge, their body of work. For us, it's like turn on the hose, turn on the faucet, and let it rain because it's truly authentic.
And just to touch on that as well, Sean, you know, it's a real skill. Like if I had to really draw it out, it would look like imagine 2 bubbles, guys. It would look like one huge bubble, like the actual knowledge. So what Sean is saying, it's actually a pretty big bubble. But when we communicate it, we turn it into little bubbles. And it's like a transformer. So you step down a voltage. If you know anything about transformers, you could have something, let's say 10,000 volts coming into your house. And then when you plug in your phone, it doesn't overwhelm your phone. You understand what I'm saying? That's a skill. That's not easy to do. That's not easy to do at all. So, and it's necessary because in marketing, you cannot communicate with people in a way that's complicated. It's not possible. Well, when I write copy at like a 5th grade, 7th grade level. And I know that. And the reason I do that is because it has to be easy to read. So when people start reading your marketing message and it's complicated, like they just not. So you have to master the art of taking complicated subjects and communicating it in a way that is simple. And if you cannot do that, you're going to have a pretty hard time marketing. Very, very hard. So it is not even an option. It is a necessity, like literally a necessity. Because if you try to write a message that's too complicated or too hard to read, people are not going to get it. Even doctors don't want to read complicated stuff. People with doctorates don't want to read, sentences that are too complicated. They don't. Even if a high level of education, they want to read something that's simple, easy, and something that they don't have to think about. Like literally, and we call it readability. It has to be readable. Like I should be able to read something and not have to think about what I'm reading while I'm reading it. So that's what I'm saying, guys. You have to know how to take that complex knowledge and communicate it in a way that's very, very simple. It's a necessity.
Little tricks like white space, little tricks like bolding, little tricks like breaking up the body of knowledge, like super, super simple things. I'm going to answer this. Too Cool to Lose says, how can we complicate things if we don't know? That's why you need to find out, right? You have to find out. You have to seek. Seek and ye shall find. Knock on the door and it will be opened unto you, right? You have to seek out. You have to do research. You have to take it seriously so that you can know, right? And listen, if you guys are watching this, it's because you seeked us out. You sought out the knowledge and it became apparent to you. You became aware of this somehow, some way. Yes, ma'am. She says, amen, right? This is what this is. This is you asking for something and you attracting it into your life. Angelina Transforms just came on. We're about to go though, because this is the end. I mean, we're running through these things so fast. I don't know. Okay, guys, listen, if you want more precise, more concise, more direct access to what we're talking about, the skills and the concepts that we're talking about and how to implement them in your business, then you're going to want to come to the live deep dive on Saturday, 5 p.m. Eastern Standard. The registry page is livedeepdive.com. Livedeepdive.com, where it will be almost in a one-to-many setting, right? But it'll be a Zoom call, so you'll actually be able to raise your hand and ask your question, and we'll be able to give you exactly what you need to move the needle forward in your business. Don't miss this opportunity. Monday, we'll be back with the topic of branding. The core topic every Monday, we'll be talking about branding you, how to brand your business, how to brand yourself as an entrepreneur, how to brand yourself as an employee so you can add a 0 to the back of your number and make more money. Make more money. We're very practical. We're very practical here, and we want you to do well. We want you to be well so that you can do more, be more, do more, and have more. In order to do those things, you have to learn more, right? So it doesn't hurt us to help you. It doesn't make us less. It doesn't reduce us to produce for you, right? But if we value you, then we need you to value yourself. Does that make sense? We want you to value yourself. So show up like you're ready to learn, because this is very educational in my process. You have to understand we have a very high level of education here and a very high level of business success that took place very fast, almost in a vacuum during the worst time in economic history. Those things don't come together like that unless you know what you're doing. So we know what we're doing. And if you implement the principles and the strategies and the tactics that we talk about, your life will never be the same. So Too Cool to Lose asks, so do we have to go live so people can find us? I'm going to respond to that. The way I'm going to respond to that is to tell you to ask me that question on the livedeepdive.com. So come to the live on Saturday, Eastern Standard, 5 p.m., and I'll answer that question directly. All right, guys, this has been your week. The week is over. Tally up what you've taken. Tally up what you've taken for the week and put together your massive action plan. The massive action plan I taught in Coaching Like a Leader. It's called your map. Your map. Use your map to get where you're trying to go. And if you need anything more, we'll be here Monday. Same brand time, same brand channel. Let's grow. Have a phenomenal weekend, and I'll see you on Saturday, 5 p.m. Eastern Standard, live deep dive.